Growing up with undiagnosed ASD was undoubtedly one of the toughest challenges I faced, and I want to share a chapter from my teenage life that might resonate with many and make others feel not so alone in their life challenges. Picture this. As the oldest of six sisters, I had a staggering 14-year age gap between me and the youngest sibling. Can you even grasp that? Reflect on it for just a moment. Starting at the age of around 10, 11, I find myself tangled in a web of obligation and responsibilities that I never asked for. While my peers at church joyfully babysat for families and earned some cash, I often felt left alone in my room, battling silent tears and anxiety, plagued with the fear of something terrible occurring under the weight of my involuntary forced caregiving. The scenario led me into a role I never wanted or applied for, where I was thrust into the position of caring for my younger sisters. My mother seemed to assume that, as the oldest, I was well equipped to manage the household duties, while she spent an incomprehensible amount of time posted up in her room doing who knows what. Even to this day, I don't know. Completely oblivious, or perhaps indifferent to the chaos around her. The responsibilities of parenthood landed squarely on my shoulders before I even had the chance to figure out how to take control and figure out who I even was of myself. Howdy y'all, I'm Danielle, and you have just arrived at my little corner dedicated to understanding and exploring human emotions. Stick around, and if you take a chance on my story, it might resonate with you. And if it does, maybe hit that subscribe button, like, and share this journey with others. No matter how often I attempted to voice my feelings about being overwhelmed, it felt like my words were swallowed up by the noises and the situations of the chaos around me in my toxic home environment. I often pondered, what on earth am I doing? I was still a kid, grasping with life as it was, yet I found myself juggling responsibilities that no teenager should ever have to bear. Reminiscing, I took on a lot of responsibilities, and it was a lot. My mother's never-ending list of demands just was so high. Cooking for my siblings, I could barely handle cooking for myself. I'd rather starve than have to make my own food because I didn't want to poison myself accidentally. I could barely handle cooking for myself. Being tasked with entertaining them was another hurdle. Our interests veered so far apart that finding common ground seemed nearly impossible. I was on a quest to unearth my own identity, while they were immersed in their old world of play that I just didn't understand. As for cleaning up after them or assisting with homework, that was an entirely different beast. I personally battle educational struggles. I have an IEP, stands for Individual Education Plan, since the 2nd grade. So trying to help them with their studies only compounded my own learning challenges. I was overwhelmed with scenarios that left me feeling like I was treading water and I can't even swim. My sisters were blissfully unaware of my daily struggles with them because I didn't want my emotions to overflow onto them. And let's not even get started on bedtime. I was expected to tuck them in and ensure they drifted off peacefully, while I yearned for the typical teenage experience, like first crushes, hanging out with friends, and discovering who I was meant to be. Instead, I became the default parent to my younger siblings. The moment that truly pushed me over the edge occurred when my mom insisted I take my sisters to their medical appointments, specifically the orthodontist. I remember this. These trips were a trek, well over 40 minutes, and I had to get on 2 different freeways, but yet I wasn't allowed to drive to high school. While I struggled with the financial burden of gas, my LS1 6-speed Firebird morphed into the family shuttle, while somehow the responsibilities to keep this all rolling fell entirely back onto me. This was my breaking point. The dream of carving out my own independence flashed before my eyes, and I began planning my escape from the whirlwind of control underneath my mother's control. When I shared my future plans with my mom, her reaction was explosive. It was the opposite of what I thought she would be. The thought of parenting her own children seemed to just unleash fury from her. Conflicted emotions swirled within me. Guilt clashed with a newfound sense of liberation. I wanted to scream. Why do I have to do everything in the family? It struck me just how unjust the entire situation was. Trying to navigate this unknown landscape, I found myself overwhelmed by forced family obligations while yearning to break free and form my own path in life, trying to figure out who I was, not an extension of my mom because I was failing drastically. Countless nights were spent wide awake, pondering when my life might shift towards normalcy, just like my peers. To anyone out there who has faced a similar predicament, remember, you're not alone. It's perfectly okay to feel stressed when burdened by responsibilities that were just thrust upon you, or never yours to bear in the first place. There's always a glimmer of hope, and seizing control of your life often involves establishing boundaries and pursuing the freedom you rightfully deserve. And for those of you who are younger siblings, keep in mind that one day you'll have the chance to shape how you treat your older siblings and those who follow you. Compassion, kindness, and empathy can mend a multitude of wounds. So a specific memory I have was, I think I was 19, and I was at home visiting my family. I had a 2-year-old by now. It's 2 or 3. And I found a fort that my sisters made. And I was like, that's pretty cool. So I climbed on inside. And all over the walls, it just says, Daniel, not allowed. Like it was just hate all over it from my younger sisters. And I remember just thinking, I've never even bonded with them. How can they hate me so much? And all I could think was it was just because I was stressed. I was overwhelmed with the burden of parenting them, and I didn't know how to do it. So in turns, they ended up hating me. Thanks for stopping by. If you can relate to any of my story or wish to share your experiences, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Till next time, take care of yourself and embrace the delicate balance within family responsibilities. Treat others the way you want to be treated. Daniel out.